I recently saw the Yorgos Lanthimos film Poor Things, and it's already made its way onto my favourite films of all time list. I loved the costumes and I really fell in love with Bella Baxter and thought, wouldn't it be fabulous if Bella met the vampire's wife? And then I thought, I have to make that happen. So in today's video, I'm pattern cutting and sewing a Bella Baxter meets the vampire's wife dress out of some vintage fabric I've had for a very long time, and until now I didn't know quite what to use it for. How pretty is this Devore organza, like little floral shadows against a cat's tongue shade of pink. Speaking of familiars, Ghost has settled into my little cottage by the sea perfectly, and I really couldn't love him more. I pattern cut and mocked up this 1930s leg of mutton style sleeve for a recent Patreon project, but it wasn't quite what I wanted, so I referred to my Janet Arnold book to see patterns for leg of mutton sleeves of the 1890s and decided to go for a larger sleeve, although not quite the imbecile sleeves as they were known at the time. This really is a fabulous book and I'd love to make more from it. There's a fabulous Schiaparelli dress from the 1930s in here, so maybe one day. I also love this pattern cutting book by Helen Stanley. It's probably my favourite reference book and the one I've used the most over the many years that I've been pattern cutting. I did a little practice run in my quarter scale blocks, which is something that I really like to do, and I've popped the full free tutorial up over at Tara Stitch Coven on Patreon. I also did a talk way back when all about sleeves in fashion for one of my Tea with Taras, my monthly chat about fashion, history and culture that I do on the 13th of each month, and I always love to hear the thoughts and ideas these talks inspire in my dearest coven. I'll pop all the links below should you wish to find out more. Essentially, the leg of mutton sleeve is very wide and full and poofy at the sleeve head and narrows down into the cuff. You can cut these sleeves in two parts, shown in the Janet Arnold book, or in one piece, which I'm doing here. Essentially, you're slashing and cutting and adding volume by spreading the original sleeve pattern, and you can create quite a lot of volume in this. As I said, I'm not going for the entirely imbecile sleeves of the 1890s. I'm not going for period accuracy. I want a sort of Frankenhack hybrid between Bella Baxter's costumes and the vampire's wife. This sleeve is all about drama, and I'm really pleased to see that the costumes for Poor Things are getting awards nods, as I really feel they deserve it. I want my Bella dress to be on the more wearable side, as I've just said, rather than overly costumey, and I always feel amazing in my vampire's wife style dress, which I did a detailed pattern cutting tutorial for over on my Patreon last year. Because this Devore organza is so see-through, I'm lining it with the vintage pink fabric. So essentially what I'm doing is sewing two whole dresses and then sandwiching them together. I've decided to French seam all the seams for both of these dresses, and then when I put the zip in, I'm going to bias bind that centre back seam and put my zip in, which should sort of link the two dresses and stabilize them and hold them together. I'm then going to put a ruffle on the bottom, which is very vampire's wife, and a ruffle around the neckline because that gives more of an 1890s feel. Despite the fact that this video is relatively short for me, I did actually spend a good 3 weeks working on my Bella Baxter meets the vampire's wife dress. I recently made the decision to be a lot more focused and intentional in my sewing projects. There's such a pressure, isn't there, to do as much as possible, more. But I wanted to sew less, but sew it much better. Really pay attention to some of those finishing touches, which in the past I've not been entirely happy with. It's been so wonderful sewing at a very leisurely pace, watching the night fall over the old town of Hastings where my little cottage by the sea is. And I've really had so much pleasure sitting and sewing in the dwindling light and working at Bertha, my beloved Benina, who seems to be in good working order at the moment. One of the fabulous things about this Devore organza, I've no idea actually where it's from, it was given to me many years ago, is the fact that it holds the shape of those sleeves. Major poofling. So annoying when you run out of thread just as you're really in the mood to do a lot of sewing. I can't tell you how pleased I am with my Bella Baxter meets the Vampire's Wife dress. It's giving all the delicate feminine, slightly gothy vibes that I wanted it to, but it also has this drama of an incredibly poofily sleeve. Not quite the 1890s, but then, as I said, I didn't want to look as if I'd just stepped out of Poor Things, the film, although it is a place that I'd like to go and visit. I am over the moon with my finished Bella Baxter meets the Vampire's Wife dress. It's giving all the drama that I had hoped for, but is also incredibly wearable. I have yet to have an occasion to wear it, but every day is dress up day here in my little cottage by the sea, and I really feel fabulous in this dress. I am sure that Bella Baxter would approve. I hope you've enjoyed this sewing project, Bella Baxter meets the Vampire's Wife, and if you'd like to spend more time with me, then I'd absolutely love it if you subscribed here on YouTube, or if you wanted to join in with my tutorials and all the things that I do with my coven over on Patreon. I'd love to welcome you to that beautiful community that we're creating over there. And you can follow me on Instagram or sign up to my newsletter. Just head over to my website and you can pretty much get to everything that I do over there. Thank you so much again, my lovelies. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're keeping very safe and very warm, and I shall see you next time.